I think healthcare is in trouble. I think that the way we're doing it is unsustainable and maybe even unacceptable for the type of healthcare that we should have in the 21st century. With all the resources, all the technology available, there is no justification for providing the type of care that we do provide, for the lack of access, for the lack of equity in the way that healthcare is distributed. You all have heard in the past that we call it healthcare, but we actually do sick care. We don't attack disease before it happens, and that's what we should be doing. I am a full-time surgeon, a full-time clinician, a trauma surgeon, and that is my first passion. My second interest and maybe passion as well is technology. It is all about the smart use of technology in order to improve how we do healthcare, how we teach, and how we learn healthcare. We have amazing possibilities. What we call a digital health or e-health or m-health, it doesn't really matter. To me, it's about healthcare enhanced and augmented to its possibilities given the resources that we have. Technology has evolved, as we all know, exponentially. If we think about early devices like the first cell phone or mobile phone created by Marty Cooper in 1973 or so, we have come a long way from that to supercomputers that we all carry in our bodies with us. One or two computers that probably have more computing power, as they say, than the computers that send us to the moon in the late 60s. So it is all about how do we use this technology to improve how we do care. The pandemic has shown us that remote care, that remote connectivity and communication is possible and is in a way how we should be doing a lot of the human actions and endeavors that we engage with on a daily basis for whatever reason, for entertainment, for education, for commercial activities, and also for healthcare. We've been trying for the last several decades to enhance the way we communicate by doing telehealth and allowing remote connectivity, and we had a lot of obstacles, and within a couple of days maybe or within a week, a terrible disease covered the world and forced us to connect remotely, to use the technology that we already had, but now to somewhat update the regulatory barriers, to upgrade the payment schemes, and to allow reimbursement of services and many other things. The education about telehealth, the marketing on telehealth also was changed so that people, providers and patients would see it as another tool in the armamentarium of healthcare providers in order to provide healthcare or sick care. So this is an important point. If we look at wearables, for example, wearables that are on us, could be an Oura ring, could be an Apple Watch, could be an Actia a device to measure blood pressure. We have gone very, very far. If we remember the Cardia device from AliveCor, it's a device that measures not just one lead, but 6 leads on an EKG, that it's something that fits in your pocket. If we see how a long away we have gone from those big machines that were only available at hospitals, it is pretty amazing. In the point of ultrasound, which particularly for me, being a practicing trauma surgeon, it's something that we use on a daily basis. it has been really interesting to see the progress. If you look at machines like this, which are very expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars at the beginning, and then probably tens of thousands of dollars today, but size-wise and portability-wise and accessibility-wise and affordability-wise, very difficult for most of the world, to devices like the butterfly, right, that connects to your smart device, basically bringing the ultrasound point of care to a completely different level. But then something like that can evolve to something like this, right? A wireless ultrasound device that also brings the point of care to levels that we never thought possible, 5 or 10 years ago. So a device like this and a device like this have obviously different business models, but they have both brought point of care ultrasound to be a reality. Of course, the affordability is not quite there yet for everyone, much less for the rest of the world probably, but the quality of imaging that you can get from these two devices, right, is just much more than even we need on a daily basis from the clinical point of view. And just like telemedicine, telehealth is not here to replace traditional modes of connecting and communicating in health. This is not replacing the big, non-portable, very expensive, complex ultrasound device. This is just an extension of that capacity to the bedside, to allow us in a way to better connect with the patients, to integrate this into the health 2.0 or the digital health that we all talk about. It's part of the digital transformation. If we see that artificial intelligent algorithms are already helping us make better decisions, and it is not the AI that people fear. It is not about the AI, it's about the use that we give to the AI algorithms. AI can kill if it is a drone or unmanned vehicle that is maybe targeting the enemy or another human being for whatever reason, but it can also cure if we are having AI help us identify early signs of cancer on a radiographic study, for example. And the possibilities are immense. So as a physician, I see a responsibility on my part to evangelize, to preach about the potential, the possibilities of technology to enhance what we do, and especially to make sure that the younger generation of physicians, the younger generation of healthcare providers, assistants, technicians, nurses, etc., are also somewhat exposed to all these marvelous possibilities that technology used in a smart way give us in order to improve how we care for other human beings. One of the most exciting fields for me is the field of immersive technologies, what we call XR or extended reality. Encompasses virtual reality, VR or AR, and mixed reality. The devices are many. They're not exclusive of each other. They all have a function and a role in what we call spatial computing. Not the computer of MS-DOS devices that we had in the past with black and white screens and code and letters and numbers in there. And not the graphic user interface computers with the desktop that Apple popularized. Not the touch screen computing that we still use, but the spatial computing where the space around you is the desktop. So imagine the possibilities of having all the digital tools that we use today on us, on a device that is a hybrid between a computer and a smartphone, but it's on your face. Imagine the possibilities of that. VR gives us the possibility of immersive experiences that have no parallel. Somewhat your brain is tricked into creating another reality where you can enjoy, you can play, you can learn, or you can teach. But you can also heal. You can also use it for treating diseases, and despite thousands of works that have been already published documenting the power of virtual reality therapeutics, we're still at the very early phases. Take a look at the future of training with virtual reality and haptics. If we look at devices like something like this, right, that not too long ago, we were using, these devices in the let's say early 1900s or before have been now in a way substituted by devices like this incredible Oculus Quest 2 device, which is already to a price level that it's reachable to a lot of people, and the price will only keep dropping and the device will only keep getting better. The experiential learning that you can have in a device like this is really something really priceless. If we see how 360-degree videos and the beginnings of virtual reality started with a device like the Google Cardboard, where you put a phone in there and it basically transported you to another dimension, to another world. Again, we have come very far. I've in the past, obviously, preached a lot about Google Glass. I did the first operation with Google Glass where all I did was streamed my view, my perspective, my experience to a group of students nearby, enhancing the way they were learning. Well, from this device, that was the pioneer, I say, of augmented reality, to a device like the Blade, the Vuzix Blade, the device. Again, we have come very, very far, because these technologies are now enabling us to communicate and connect better. If we look at devices like the HoloLens 2, right, which was created not too long ago, the second edition came quick after the first edition, and now this device is being used in medicine for learning, for diagnostics, and even for therapeutics. The future of these devices in healthcare is just fascinating. I've been also obviously talking a lot about Magic Leap, which is another extended reality computer, a smart glass in your head. If we see, for example, what a Brain Lab is doing in association with Magic Leap, creating spatial computing for surgical care, allowing us to navigate the radiographic images of patients in the operating room, enhancing how we plan an operation and how we actually do an operation with a mixed reality viewer that Brain Lab just came out with not too long ago. Again, the sky is the limit. I always say it's not about the technology. It's about the smart use of the technology. We have seen for the last few years a lot of events, a lot of platforms, technologies, a lot of people preaching about the potential of digital health. I think that the time has come now where the digital transformation is already happening, and the places where digital transformation is not happening, well, they're falling behind. And it's a little bit like robotic surgery. If you didn't invest in a robotic device 5-10 years ago, now you're way behind. And like anything else in medicine, I think that it is important that we sort of have the vision to see the possibilities ahead of us, not in the very short term, but in the mid and long term. Think about the patient, that human being that has given us the privilege of invading their privacy, invading their minds and bodies in order to help them not get sick or to help them heal. I think that that has to be the primary focus, to remember that the patient is the coach in the healthcare team, and that it is all about the patient, about improving the patient's experience, because patients want a better experience and a better outcome. That's all they want. And if we can use our abilities as educators to change the view, to educate, to maybe change the culture and push these changes that are so necessary, well, we should, without a doubt, do it. The patients will not care whether we have antennas coming out of our head, as long as they get a better experience and they get a better outcome. So I also think that technologies give us the tools to become more empathetic, more humane doctors, to humanize medicine, to maybe bring back the medicine that we had 2 or 3 decades ago, before that push for digitalization of medicine came. We have been doing digital health in the wrong way for the last couple of decades. The technology has pushed us away from the patient. Now we have to think in a different, in a wiser, smarter manner, to do digital health differently, to allow these technologies to rescue medicine, to bring back the art and the humanity in medicine. Remembering always that many people in the world, most of the world, the numbers were up to 5 billion people in the world, for example, not having access to safe and affordable care. These technologies allow us to extend that care, to extend our expertise, to extend how we teach and how we learn, to bring care to places where otherwise it wouldn't happen. So my final message before we get into the questions and answers session, and hopefully an interactive conversation, my final message is that it is not about the technology, it's about the smart use of the technology to enhance how we do healthcare and to bring back the humanity in medicine. Thank you very much.